officially known as the Thunderbolt II, but universally as the Warthog because of its looks. Over the last 30 years, this beast has earned another name on the battlefield, the Tank Buster. Its amazing 30mm 7-barreled cannon is the most powerful gun ever to take to the skies. With a single Warthog carrying enough weaponry to disable 16 main battle tanks, the A-10 is a legend to the soldiers who depend on life-saving air support.
You can talk to troops on the ground and they love hearing that sound. It's the sound of freedom for them.
Using extraordinary archive film and color reenactments, Battle Stations takes you into combat with one of the deadliest aircraft in the US arsenal, the A-10 Tank Buster. Throughout Operation Iraqi Freedom, the A-10 Warthog was the most well-known and feared plane in the US Air Force. Its ability to work in close support with ground troops, to take out enemy positions and tanks, and to act as a spotter plane made it a linchpin in the victory over Saddam Hussein and his regime. The A-10's survivability was matched with a deadly capacity, a huge 30mm Gatling gun. Developed specifically for the A-10, the GAU-8A Avenger, capable of firing almost 4,000 rounds a minute, gave the aircraft the ability to blow through tank armor. Fairchild-Republic won the competition to build the first aircraft in US aviation history specifically designed for close air support. But before the Air Force would give the go-ahead, they wanted hard evidence that the aircraft and the gun could perform outstandingly together. The need would spark a series of simulation tests, unlike any ever produced. Little would its designers realize, these tests would change the face of aviation history. Fairchild-Republic had produced the ultimate piece of machinery to perform the role of close air support. But the Air Force was reluctant to go into production until they had seen for themselves that the aircraft could fulfill its very specific combat role. In a series of amazing tests, the A-10 and its remarkable gun were put through their paces in an effort to create a full-on Cold War battle scenario.
We had secretly assembled what we proudly boasted at the time was like the 3rd or 4th largest tank army in the world. Over 300 Soviet tanks from all over the world, off junk heaps and whatever, out in the desert outside Las Vegas. So we ran a program with A-10s, with a gun installed, and with the current ammunition as it was going into production. And we did a meticulous series of tests, attack after attack, checking tactics, checking burst lengths, all these details to see how effective we were against tanks. We learned an enormous amount about it. The most important thing we learned was that this weapon had unprecedented effectiveness.
During the Cold War, the threat of Soviet tanks advancing on Western Europe was at times a very real possibility. The Air Force finally gave the production of the A-10 the go-ahead. It was now ready to face a specific enemy. With its highly accurate weapons delivery platform, it was the ideal machine to defend against Soviet armored supremacy. The first A-10 arrived at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona, in October 1975. Immediately christened the Warthog, the A-10 was admired for its simplicity and ruggedness, rather than its good looks.
It's very rugged. People can compare it to like a Jeep or a Hummer or something like that. It's thick, it's big, everything about it is boxy, and it looks very strong and sturdy. It's almost guaranteed to bring the pilot back alive.
But with a top speed of only 420 miles per hour, high-set twin engines, and squared-off, slab-like wings, the A-10 was a far cry from any streamlined jet. The single-seat cockpit is surrounded by a large bubble canopy to provide all-round vision and a bulletproof windscreen. But it's the challenge of the unique close air support role that is the main attraction to A-10 pilots, flying in an environment where anything could happen at any time. The weapons delivery system incorporates a heads-up display, or HUD, that provides the pilot with the references for flight control and weapons employment. The need for the A-10 would reach its climax in March 2003. Saddam Hussein's horrific regime was reaching fever pitch. This time, it would take an army, with the A-10 in the front line, to bring him down. March 2003. Saddam Hussein's forces were about to come head-to-head with the A-10 tank buster as it once again prepared to fly over the battlefields of Iraq. The coalition forces meant to end the regime of Saddam Hussein for good, and the Warthog had come a long way since its last desert battle.
By the time the second Gulf War, the Iraqi freedom comes along, pretty much every airplane had been modified to improve the weapon's accuracy.
The AGM-65 Maverick missiles are highly accurate, carrying warheads specifically for targeting heavy armor. Infrared imaging guidance enables them to shoot moving targets at night. Combine these with the already large weapons load and the special laser targeting pods, and the Warthog was better prepared than ever for its deadly role in Iraq. Flying from the seized Talil air base in southern Iraq, A-10s flew numerous sorties as coalition forces launched one of the greatest military offensives since the Second World War. The assault on Baghdad. For the A-10 crews, it would be the challenge of a lifetime. Calling the Warthogs to their targets, another essential member of the ground command team, the Forward Air Controller, or FAC. A-10 pilots take turns to carry out this job, using their specialist knowledge of the mission in the air to coordinate with the soldiers on the ground. The FAC is the A-10 pilot's first point of contact on arrival in the area. Part of his role is to provide the pilot with the target coordinates, which he does with great efficiency.
If I had to be in an airplane and be shot at, the A-10's the only one I want to be in.
The A-10 is an awesome airframe, and the fact that it works with you, and it feels like it's a part of you. And it's one of the only airframes left that it's true flying. You can feel it fly.
The A-10 means close air support at its finest. It's been my home now for 8 years, and I love it, and I hope I get to stick with it, and I hope we get the upgrades we want to take us into this next century and keep supporting the Army. But I think it's just an awesome weapons platform. It fills a specific niche, and it does it really well.
Able to keep flying with battle damage that would cripple many other designs and lethal to any armored vehicle in service, the humble Warthog of the 1970s has come to rule supreme over the digital battlefields of the 21st century. Due to remain in service until at least 2025, the A-10 Warthog has proven itself to be one of the most effective aircraft ever flown by the US Air Force, and a legend to those involved with it.
She is not very clean when it comes to protuberances and bumps, and so she's not the sleekest looking piece of machinery that I ever designed. But she got the job done.